All right, so hello, afternoon students. Some of you may know me and may not know me. I am Sarah Vecchia, and I am the lead pharmacy instructor for the program. I do teach the morning pharmacy class, and typically I do administrative work for the program in the second half of the day, but obviously during these times here, I have now taken over and I will be teaching the afternoon class as well. Don't worry, Tammy will be back. You know, these decisions aren't easy from a company standpoint, and it's just something that we have to do temporarily at the moment. But you know, you still have Tammy's number and everything, so if you want to check in on her and see how things are doing, and how she's doing, I think that's a great idea. Keep that connection. And in the meantime, we'll just kind of keep plugging forward, and hopefully we'll be back on campus soon enough. So I just wanted to do a quick video. You are going to have an assignment on drug recalls. You will be doing that using the FDA website that I attach in the assignment folder for you. But I kind of wanted to go over a little bit about drug recalls and why drug recalls are important. So the first thing that I want to start with is there's only two entities that can issue a drug recall. So those two entities are the FDA and the actual drug manufacturer. So the difference between the two, usually when the drug manufacturer issues a drug recall, it's usually on a voluntary basis. So what they're doing is they're saying, okay, we've seen some feedback that a little bit of plastic got into our containers for a specific lot number and a specific expiration date on a particular drug. So we're just going to voluntarily recall all of those back just to make sure we pulled everything off and we reassess and get that plastic out of there. The other one is through the FDA. That is not a voluntary recall. So in this case, something drastic has happened. There's been a lot of fatalities, or there's been a lot of adverse medical events or drug reactions to a specific drug, and they step in and they pull the drug off the market. Now, drug recalls do not just specifically pertain to prescription drugs. They can pertain to over-the-counter drugs, they can pertain to homeopathics, and even dietary supplements, food. Obviously, we've seen over the last couple of years recalls done on certain food items because of contaminants of E. coli and stuff like that. So that's what the FDA is ensuring, that is safety to the public, and in this particular case for drugs. So just recently, in the last probably 6 months to the year, there was a little shop in San Francisco that was selling a particular brand of tea that was derived from a part of a bark of a tree from overseas, that if it was not prepared properly, it could lead to toxic levels and become fatal. That's what was happening to some people living in San Francisco, and once that started to become a problem, the FDA stepped in and pulled it from the market. So that's not a prescription drug, it's just an herbal tea, and the FDA stepped in and said no more. So two entities only can issue drug recalls, the FDA and the drug manufacturer itself. So there's three classifications of drug recalls. So class 1 recalls show that there's reasonable probability that the drug will cause serious harm and or even death. Okay. Class 2 is using the drug may cause temporary or medical reversible serious adverse health effects. So in this case, in a class 2, the drug caused serious adverse health effects, but we were able to either reverse them through medical intervention, or the effects were just temporary. And then a class 3 would be using the drug is not likely to cause any adverse health effects. So this would be in the case of, some bottles of Tylenol came through and there was some extra, pieces of plastic that got in there. It's not going to harm anyone because they're obviously not taking the plastic, but they're going to go ahead and recall it anyway so they can pull those off the shelf. So in the event that someone decided they were going to take the plastic instead of the tablet, it doesn't happen. So your responsibility as a pharmacy technician. So typically pulling drug recalls from the shelf will fall onto the responsibility of a pharmacy technician. Now, there's a couple steps to this. So when the drug manufacturer, the FDA, issues the drug recall, there's going to be some information that's contained within that recall. You're going to have the drug name, the strength, the route or form. Okay, so is it a capsule? Is it a tablet? Is it an injection? Is it a cream? And then you're going to have the NDC number, which is the National Drug Code number. You're going to have a lot number, and you're going to have an expiration date. So one thing that's really important to know is that when a drug manufacturer develops a new drug, so let's say the drug manufacturer of paroxetine, they established or they developed paroxetine and it was first approved for use in the 1980s. Every bottle, so if it's paroxetine 10 milligrams, okay, that bottle has the same NDC number from 1980 to today. Okay, that's its identifying number. So you're thinking, well, how do I know which bottle is affected or not? It's these two things here, okay? So these two are the main identifiers on if the product you have on the shelf is expired or not, okay? You may have the bottle of paroxetine. It's the same strength. It's the same route or form. It has the same NDC number, but the lot number and the expiration date are different. That means it is not included in the batch that was produced and is now being recalled. So it's these two identifying numbers. So when you have the sheet of the drug recall and you're going to your shelf, you're going to make sure that everything matches up, including the NDC number. But these two pieces here are the distinguishing factors. If the lot number matches and the expiration date matches, that bottle you have in your hand is part of the drug recall and needs to be removed from the shelf. If it does not, it is not affected, it's not part of the recalled batch, and it can stay on the shelf. So what happens when you have something on the shelf that needs to be recalled? So that's kind of a difference in situation. It depends on the manufacturer. The manufacturer on their drug recalls will issue instructions. Many times they just say, count however many bottles you had or how many tablets you have. Fill out this form, let us know. We'll send you reimbursement. Go ahead and destroy it. Or they're going to have you ship it back to them, and when they receive it, they will give you or issue the credit to the pharmacy. Depends. It's very dependent on the manufacturer, the size and scope of the drug recall. So it's just really important that you read all the way through that drug recall and see how you're supposed to either return that to the manufacturer or destroy it, but you still have to let them know what you had, because you were offered or issued a credit for that amount of drug that you had to destroy that you can't, turn a profit on. So drug recalls, when you are doing your daily assignment, there's a link and there's an instruction on how to work through the link, and you're going to look at that and you're going to write down however many the assignment requires of the drug recalls. But you also have to determine which drug recall class it belongs to, class 3, class 2, or class 1. And you're going to do that based off the reason that it's being recalled. So you need to use your critical thinking skills to say, okay, this is the issue. Where does that fall into the class 1, 2, or 3 categories? In your folder, I have attached the drug recall sheet that allows you to look at what those classifications are for class 1, 2, and 3 recalls. And again, you're going to use your critical You're going to use your critical thinking skills to determine which or where which part of those classifications, 1, 2, or 3, that the drugs you choose to identify in the recalls and where they belong. Be sure to email me if you have any questions. My office hours are 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. I'm pretty quick at responding. And then other than that, have a good day.